Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm 12 Kyle. Check this out. On this podcast, what we're going to talk about is friends. More specifically, what about your friends? Well, on this podcast, you get to learn a little bit more about me and my friends. On this podcast, I will have my boys D Love Hall and Easy Does It VA, aka my boys Derrick and Zell. These are my lifelong friends, and we're going to talk about a myriad of topics, from how we met, hanging out, our thoughts on having friends of the opposite sex, fighting with your friends, supporting your friends. And we'll even get into the discussion of money with friends and, God forbid, going into business with your friends. All of that and much more on this edition. So sit back. After the break, you will hear me, D Love Hall, and Easy Does It VA. And we're talking about friends. What about your friends? On this episode of the 12 Kyle podcast. Let's get it. And just like that, we are back. Once again, it's your boy 12 Kyle, and this is the 12 Kyle podcast. And I mean, you see, you see the notes. You see what we're talking about. We're talking about your friends. I mean, what about your friends? And of course, I would not be doing this podcast without talking to my friends. You know them. You've heard them on here before. My man D Love Hall, a.k.a. my boy Derrick, and Easy Does It VA, a.k.a. my boy Zell. D, what up, man?
What's going on, brother? We didn't get the Steve Harvey intro this time?
I mean, they know y'all.
That's good job. Good job. You are correct, sir.
I mean, if you want me to tell them about Zone Out, I can tell them about Zone Out. Okay.
I don't. Yeah, I'm good.
I thought so. Zell, what's good, man?
Same old, man. You know, I wish everybody could hear how your voice changed when it's live.
we doing this already?
I mean, it's about friendship, right? It's about friendship.
Hey, I had to look at the phone twice and be like, yo, who the hell is this guy?
And we're back.
Hey, man, I'm a professional. So yeah, I got you guys on here, man. We're talking about friends and friendships, and just what about your friends. So it's gonna be a wide range of topic. As usual, these guys are here. These are my childhood friends, and you know, they know the topic, but they don't know any of the questions and stuff we're gonna talk about. We're just gonna kick it like we always do. The only difference is that we've invited a whole bunch of people to listen to it. So let's start there. Let's go back, since we grew up together. Zell, I'll hit you with the first question, and I don't think I've ever asked you this question. Do you remember how we met and when we started hanging out?
I think it was, I know it might have been middle school. And I can't remember exactly how we met, though. It might have been a class. You know, I can't remember how we met, and be honest with you. But I remember it was like a little clique, a little crew. I don't even go say, because I don't know who's listening. But it was a little crew of, like, you know what I mean, 7th graders.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a mix of some girls and some guys, and we all was kind of like, I thought we all was kind of hanging out a little bit, but then you know how things happen over the course. Next thing I know, we was hooping, and next thing I know, I was at your house all the time. So right. I can't remember the details.
That's pretty much what it was, man. It was us in 7th grade, and I'm trying to think who introduced us. I think, you know what I think it was? I think Travis introduced me to Rudy, and then Rudy introduced me to you and Fred. And it was after that. And like, we just started rolling after that. I just remember we were in the 7th grade, and we just started hanging after that, because I had just moved, over on that side of town. So
See, I knew Travis. Before.
Right.
We used to hoop. Yeah, we played like City League all the time together. But yeah. But yeah, that's all I remember. 7th grade. I know everybody was hanging.
No doubt, no doubt. So, D, what about you? Do you remember when we first met? Because I think I remember, but I'm not really sure.
This is a fantastic question, and I really don't remember. What I do remember is I knew Zell first.
Mm-hmm.
And I think me and Zell got acquainted through the drums when he played the Timpanis back in the day. That's his real way past that people don't know about his drum days. But I knew Eric before I knew you because of the band.
Okay.
And I think I came over to either go in the pool or the hoop, and that's when we hooked up. And then I found out that you and Zell was tight. And then through our X-Men situation, that's when you and I got tight because you wanted to know about the X-Men joint that we was doing in the Beady Bo joint. And me and you learned each other's ways through that situation. Right. But it was after you was the 10th grade, I was 9th grade.
Okay.
But I knew Zell first, and y'all already had a relationship before I met you. So I remember that much. But as far as I knew Eric first.
Right.
But I think I didn't meet you until I came by the house to either go to the pool or to play ball. One of the two. Y'all had a pool.
Yeah, I mean, everybody always came over to go swimming, man. That was like the thing, and like half the time I wanted to leave, and everybody's like, "Hey, let's go swimming." I'm like, "Man, I'm trying to get out of here." But yeah, that sounds about right. I couldn't remember if I was a sophomore or a junior when we met, but I knew, we met and we started just hanging, and then we ended up dating the same.
We're doing that. Okay, we're doing that.
We end up dating the same girl.
So we're doing that. Okay.
I mean, it's facts. Is it not facts? We ended
up
dating the same girl?
But we didn't know it.
No, we didn't.
We did that before we actually polyed. And then once we started polying, we threw that name out there, and you was like, wait a minute, dude. I did too. And I was like, whoa, when? We started crossing timelines like, oh.
Yeah, I think you dated her before I did, though, right?
Yeah, hey man, who cares? Who cares? Come on, man.
Yeah, I know we were high school. Right. But yeah, I just wanted to because I've never asked y'all that question, and if it was something I thought about today. I said, man, I just know about the time, and I think that speaks to the level of friendship that we have, because you have some friends that, like, you just know when you just connect with them or whatever like that. And you have some friends you go so far back with them that you don't remember like when you started kicking it, but you just know that you've been kicking it for X amount of years or whatever like that. So yeah, we're talking about what about your friends. Again, I got my boy D Love Hall and my boy Easy Does It VA, aka Derrick and Zell in here and on the 12 Kyle podcast. So my next question, and I'll start first with you, D. When we're talking about friendships, guys, obviously, because we're guys, we tend to have, we view friendships differently. What do you think about, let me go back. If you had to think about like a time where you fell out with another friend, what did that look without? I mean, you don't necessarily have to get into specifics, but like, because I and the reason why I'm asking this question is because I maintain that guys usually when they fall out or have a, I don't want to say breakup, but when guys when we not cool anymore, it's because of only a couple of reasons or whatever the case may be. Like it's usually not something petty, but do you remember a time when you had a falling out with somebody, and what it was about, and could it have been prevented?
As you were asking that question, I was trying to think, have I ever really fallen out with someone who I call my friend? Mm-hmm. And to keep it a beam, I can't think of an instance where I can say I've actually fallen out with someone who I've called a friend. Now, there are people who I've affiliated with, of course, that we just over time, we just lost touch or whatever. But as far as falling out, mm-hmm. Nah, I don't even know what that feels like. I mean, me and Fred Black fought one time a long time ago, and he cut me with a bottle. That was back in the day. But other than that, I
He said,
mean, we're still cool to this day. Yeah, we're still my brother. So I don't really I can identify with that because falling out with people to me it means like that was the ultimate betrayal or you can't go back on something that was done, something that was said. You can kind of go back on that, but something that was done, in my opinion, you just can't go back on that. And I'm really going through my Rolodex, and I can't think of one person who I can say I was friends with or I am friends with that I fell out with. We've had disagreements, arguments, stuff of that nature, but falling out, I, I really can't identify with that question. I don't. I've seen it happen, and that's why it's always weird to me. That's probably how we even came with this idea to have this pod, because we've seen some friends that fell out. We're like, how can that happen?
right.
So we couldn't identify with how it could. How did it get to that point? So I'm really thinking like out of our crew, we've had some disagreements here and there. You know what I mean? We've had some. I don't want to say dust up, but there was some situations where we just didn't agree on some real shit. But we kept it quiet. We kept it in house. And we let the people who was going through it go through it and figure it out. We never intervened. We never interjected and threw our 2 cents in it. We just let it go. And whenever they, got their shit together, we just kept it rolling. So as far as like falling out for me, I really can't identify with that question. That's never really happened to me. Not like that.
Understood. What about you, Zell?
Yeah, I can't really say. I mean, like I said, I don't think I had any periods of time where I ain't really just deal with nobody like that, I think a large part of it too was like, we pretty much, kind of nurtured our friendships over through high school, through hanging out, through having fun, and we probably didn't really deal with a lot of hard things growing up as kids. You know what I mean? Like, what was the most that we could argue about? Who got next? I mean,
the foul that wasn't called in the basketball game.
Yeah, like I mean, when you really think about all the little things that we could have possibly gotten mad about. I mean, we really had a very kind of I ain't gonna say stress free, but we just had more of a happy go lucky time, I guess, growing up. And then I just think it just kind of evolved over the course as we grew as adults. I just don't ever think we had any major, what I'm saying, like issues that would create fallouts. I mean, I think the closest one I may have had, and it wasn't a fallout, but it was, a good one of my close neighbors of mine. We had we might have had some similar interests in a girl. That's about all I remember. That might have got a little hairy at a time, but I don't think that even lasted longer than a Wilson dance. You know what I'm
saying? Do it.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I don't think that lasted much further than a episode in the corner with Mr. Brooks flashing his light on it.
Wow.
Like I said, and just restating that lets you know that the severity of any issue in the scheme of things probably wasn't that big. I think we probably had way more complicated situations as adults than we probably ever had as kids. That's why I don't think anything registers, because I just thought for the most part, I mean, we had a good time when we hung out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I say the same thing, man. I don't have any close friendships that I can honestly say where I fell out. There's been some associates, where we've lost touch or just, stopped speaking, but not anything malicious. It's just, over time people grow apart, and guys, we kind of handle those things a little bit differently. I think we don't take it as personal as, sometimes as some women, I can't say all, some women take it, a lot personal. And then as you grow, everybody has different interests and stuff like that and different ways that they want to go. And so it's never been nothing that serious, for me to having a falling out, which, leads me to one of the key principles, I think, as far as friendship, loyalty. Zell, where do you stand, or where does loyalty fall when it comes to, your ideas and ideals when it comes to friendship?
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm much different as an adult, so I guess I need to qualify that now. But as a kid, I probably was a little over the top. You know what I'm saying? Maybe slightly over the top. It was pretty much, you know what I mean, my crew, my friends, everybody else. You know what I'm saying? There really wasn't much room for no potential friendship. Like it just was. I was probably the worst. Like I know Kyle, me and Derrick used to always tease you, like because Kyle is like the politically correct friend. Like behind the scenes, Kyle probably gonna chop you up. Oh man, I don't fuck with that nigga. You know what I'm saying? Kyle, he'll chop you up, right? And so then me and D, we be behind the scenes like, that's what's up, nigga. You don't fuck with him, I don't fuck with him,
We
right?
don't fuck with him.
So then when we actually see the person, it's like I be grilling and gritting and I be, you know what I'm saying, screw face. And then Kyle be like, hey, yo, what's up, dog? You know what I'm saying? And I be looking, I thought it was beef. You know what I'm saying? Like,
ain't no beef. Ain't no beef, man.
I thought it was gritting on cats. Nah, but yeah, so I think I had to kind of grow up to understand that there is a happy medium. Like you can be cordial and you can acknowledge people. I think, you know, Kyle might have been a little more mature about that than maybe myself, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think I'm big on like crew and supporting one another. And, I always tell y'all, like if somebody fall out with y'all, I mean, you can't come kiki with me. I mean, I'm the last person you probably gonna come up to me and be like, can I speak to you? Like, oh yeah, you can speak. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna get all kind of texts from your friends, be like, yo, you know, Zell don't mess with me no more. That nigga, you know how he go. So yeah, I would say I've evolved. I'm not nowhere near like that anymore, but I probably think in my younger day when we were growing up, I probably was like crew and everybody else was like, you know, get away from me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right. What about you, D?
I mean, he just summed it up. If he was number one, I was 1A.
Right.
I mean, we was the ones that we were known as the assholes of the crew. Everybody had some labels about our crew, and I think me and Zell were the assholes, and it was like, okay, if you want to call it that, but we just tight. We don't really deal with everybody. So yeah, I don't take my friendships lightly. Y'all know that. I don't take friendships lightly. I don't even talk to a lot of people. I barely talk to y'all about my real shit. But I go through stuff. So, you know, it takes a lot for me to trust people, and I trust y'all with damn near everything. So everybody else, I don't give them anything whatsoever. I don't care. I'm not bothered by them. I don't think about it. I think about y'all my family, your family's my family, your parents are my parents. I've always been with y'all. So when it comes to anybody else, I'm loyal to y'all. Somebody got a problem with y'all, they got a problem with me. And if they say something around me, y'all gonna know about it. And they gonna hear it from me before y'all hear it.
Right.
So that's just how I get down when it comes to loyalty. Nobody's gonna talk about my crew. Nobody's gonna mess with my crew. You might think that we're being a little bit childish or whatever because y'all damn near 50 years old, but y'all are my brothers.
Right.
And y'all know how I feel about that. So I mean, my loyalty to y'all, it equals, I hope, your loyalty to me.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? That's how I look at that. So anybody else outside of us, kick rocks.
No, I feel you, and I agree 1,000%. I think for me it was the same thing. It was loyalty was and always will be, you know, one of the top things that I hold my hat on. You know, because I'm a loyal person. You know, I'm definitely actually, let me go back before I do a deep dive. I want to address what Zell said. No, I'm not. I'm not the beef guy, but like if I have a hard time, like, you know, pretending like I like you if I don't like you, like, and it's not a lot of people I don't like, you know, but those that I don't like, I can't be fronting for them. But you know, if I know that there's, you know, some tension, yeah, I'll be like, yeah, what's up, man? You know, and say what's up and keep it moving. I'm a little too, especially now, I'm a little too old for that. But even when we were younger, I wasn't the I would probably be more of a peacemaker, if you will. And yeah, behind the scenes, I might be like, ready to ride or die. But it's, but I'm not ready to square off on people. I'll just put it like that. But I just want to clarify my name real quick. but loyalty, yeah. What's up?
Hey, you was like Styles P, and and I was like, shoot, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate. So I'm like, I'm extremely loyal, so I expect that in return, from my friends. Yeah, it's really big for me, and I think that it's a principle that I think we all should, have. And then everybody's not as loyal, and when people show you who they are, as far as friendships are concerned, believe them. And sometimes people that you think are friends, I mean, it's levels. It's crew, it's friends, and it's associates. And I've always said, like, when you're dealing with somebody real, that line is never blurred. It should be clear. Like, you don't have to kind of figure out where you stand with me. It should be pretty clear. So, but yeah, I echo, both of your sentiments. Derrick, opposite sex friends. Has your opinion changed on friends of the opposite sex? And the reason why I'm asking that is because when we were younger, we probably were more prone to, trying to get closer to our friends of the opposite sex, or same sex, if those of you listening, if that's what you're into. But how are your thoughts now or are they any different between what it was when you were coming up as opposed to now?
Hell yeah. I didn't know how to be no friend to a woman back in the day or a girl. I didn't know how to do that. I know how to front like I was, but I didn't know how to be a real friend probably till my 30s.
Wow.
That come on, man. I could play the game. I could play the role, but I can be honest about that now. Friendship, I got some now. I got a few women who I call friend. And I check on them every now and again. I see them and we cool like that. Never had a thought like that. So that's the difference. Back in the day, I might have had that thought. You know what I mean? I might have had that, can I, should I take that? But now I actually know some people who I never had that thought about. And I'm actually cool with and I can, talk to about some real shit. So that's the difference. Like now I'm way more mature about that as opposed to back in the day because I didn't know that I even could. I not that I had some bad examples, I just didn't know that I could, Strand try to teach that. But, at some level, you still kind of, you level that off, some of those off at some freak shows. You know how we used to get it down back in the day. So, you try to do the right thing, but I wasn't mature enough back then to be able to maintain something like that on a real level. But now at this age, no doubt, I can do it, no doubt now. But then again, I don't mess with that many people anyway. Right. So, it is much easier for me today than 20, 30 years ago, no doubt.
Gotcha. What about you, Zell?
Oh,
Lord.
I'm probably what you call the habitual line stepper. Look, let me explain my position here. And Kyle, and y'all gonna probably be like actually shocked by what I'm about to say. And you probably won't be, but you probably be like, well, her too. You gonna probably like start adding up like all the friends and start to be like, well, I wonder if he is this friend or that friend. But yes, I don't have a female friend that I haven't line stepped at some point. No. I don't. Yeah, I don't think I have. Maybe one.
You got at least one.
It ain't even in the way.
Yeah, I can think of one.
Who's the one? Now, when I say line step, I don't mean all the way.
Never mind.
Yeah, I can think of one that you went to school with in college. I ain't gonna call her name, but you went to school with her in college. She's like a little sister to you, so I don't think you line step with her.
I don't know though. I don't know, Kyle.
Oh, you don't think? Oh, wow.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know.
You don't.
It might have been a step. It might have been a line step one night. You see how solid he is? It might have been a line step.
He hasn't said anything to defend, and he knows what I'm talking about too.
He knows what we're talking about. And
right.
He's not like, yeah, that one. He ain't jumping on it, so that he might have stepped across it.
Wow. I mean, is she from New York?
Yeah, she's from New York.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now that one is probably that's probably the only one.
See?
Okay.
There's one.
Okay.
See? Okay.
But it wasn't because, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, a couple of rounds though, it get tricky. You know what I'm saying?
See, that's what I was thinking. That was a couple of rounds you might have stepped and didn't realize you stepped. Or didn't think you stepped.
There could have been some awkward moments.
Right. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. That's why I said, I don't know, Kyle. I don't know.
Nah, but yeah, I don't think so. You know, I'm really not big on friends of the opposite sex staying in the friend zone. And the only reason I always look at it side eye because I know how I am in the friend zone. Like,
but everybody not like you, B.
Nah, I mean, I think everybody is. You know what I'm saying?
well, we know I'm not.
Oh, well, Kyle, of course.
What?
Hey, Kyle, for the sake of this conversation on the public platform, of course you're not. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah, my bad. I just stepped across. I did a line step, my bad.
Oh, my gosh.
Of course you don't line step, right. Kyle.
No.
But I would suspect, let's go back to our childhood days.
Even back then I didn't.
Whoa.
So this is all safe conversation now. We can actually have these conversations.
Well, maybe once or twice.
I will go on record to say, in our childhood, there wasn't a female friend you didn't line step with.
Yeah. Of course.
So the theory of can you be a friend of the opposite sex? I mean, you're proving my point.
Yeah. Oh, no question. I didn't line step. That's the point.
But so what do you define as line stepping then?
I mean, like there was no advances or anything. Like we just cool.
All right, so okay.
Don't do it. I know where you're going.
You know what? How about you answer the question? Don't put. I'm the host. Don't ask me shit.
Oh, this dude. Every time we do this, we got to go to witness protection program for this dude.
Oh my gosh, this is hilarious.
I don't think you can really be platonic friends of the opposite sex for any period of time. Spend a lot of time together and not have a line step moment here and there. I just don't believe it can happen. So that's my stance. But shout out to everybody that's doing it. It's not me.
Yeah, you're right. You. And you know what's interesting is that you've been very consistent in that thought forever. like that thought has you've never come off that stance. It's always been that way.
And everybody who I am friends with will confirm that position. And co-sign nah.
Oh my God. What about your friends? That's the topic we're talking about on the 12 Kyle podcast. All right, so let's do a scenario here. All right, Zell, I'll start with you. Let's say, let me use just a random name. Let's say Tony. Tony is somebody that you know, but he ain't crew. He's a friend, but he ain't crew. I'll just put it like that. And you see Tony out with a girl, and it ain't his girl. So he's out cheating. But you cool with Tony's girl. Tony's girl comes to you, say, hey, whatever. I think he's cheating on me. Do you say something to her to confirm or deny, or do you just, keep your mouth shut and keep it pushing?
Yeah, I think this was a group chat topic one time.
It was.
I remember this topic. I see the girl. I see the dude girlfriend. I see the dude cheating on his girlfriend. I'm cool with the girlfriend. Do I say something to the girlfriend?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. It depends. It depends, right? It depends on how close. If it's like, shout out to Niecy. If it's like somebody like Denise, right? You know, we all know
Shout out
Denise. If it was Denise, like somebody like Denise,
you're telling.
I'm telling.
Yeah, but Denise is crew though.
That's, I mean, but what you mean? But but what do you mean by we're cool with her?
I see what you're saying.
So that's what I'm saying. It has to be a relationship of that magnitude,
right, in
order for me to dime it out.
Right.
But if it's not somebody like Denise, then I'm basically keeping it pushing.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Head nod, I know, holler. You know what I'm saying? I'm minding my business, because I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, I think age has taught us a lot. Like, I think in our younger day, we probably make that a big deal, right? But in our older day, we kind of know how the game is now. It's not as big of a deal maybe in our lives today as it would have been in our 20s. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, if I see somebody in my 40s, right now, and I see some kind of messiness, I'll probably be par for the course. I mean, your girlfriend probably got a nigga on the side. Like, who knows what I'm saying? I really don't. I don't make assumptions of like committed relationships in 2021. Like, I think everything's pretty fluid and everybody's kind of doing them. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And minding your business is a big thing nowadays, because you mess around and say something and they don't believe you. You know what I mean? Now you're stuck in a position where you're the asshole friend who's trying to break them up, as opposed to just, supporting what she believes in. She might want to believe that he ain't cheating. You know what I mean? But when you say something, now you enter the stage where you really shouldn't be in the first place, because she might not believe you. And now that may cause a strain on your friendship, because she's going to see you as hating on her situation as opposed to just being an honest friend. So, yeah, I probably wouldn't say nothing either. Like I said, unless it's Niecy, I say something to her, but not too many people I would get involved with in their lives, because, people don't be believing stuff nowadays. Actually, they never did. They don't be believing what they don't want to believe. Unless you got a photo and you want to post it on Instagram, showing the world. That's a new thing now. But cheaters ain't coming on no more. Cheaters is gone, that little show.
Right.
But as far as like telling, I probably wouldn't. I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. That ain't none of my business.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think if it was someone who was crew, yeah, I would. But if I'm not that close to you, it's like what Zell just said. I probably, nod my head to him just to acknowledge that I see you. I'm not going to say nothing, but I see you, and then hopefully you.
But let me cut you off real quick. That's a different dynamic. I thought, the way you presented it was, we see him out in the streets.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We see him in the streets.
But if he see us, that's a different scenario. Now that is different. See, us just seeing him is one thing, but if he actually sees us see him, that creates a whole other that, because now he got to do something to prevent us from doing it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
He actually see us see him. Let me rephrase that, because some dudes are stupid. The average smart cat, if they see the friend see them, they go into, oh no, I got a defensive mode. I got to get my game up. Now what am I going to say? They're not just going to let that rock and just go about the night and go bang the other chick and not say nothing. They're going to have to go defensive mode. They're going to be like, they got to come over actually and acknowledge us. The best thing to do is actually come over and acknowledge us. Because if you see me see you and you keep it pushing, it's obvious what you're doing.
Right.
But if you bring her over, like, yo, this is my girl, this is my homie, such and such, I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know nobody. And I let it go. That's a whole other scenario. I thought you just said I saw him, but he didn't see me see him.
Yeah, I mean, either way, but I feel what you're saying now.
If he see me see him, that's he knows I know now.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other. Now, let's say he see me see him, right? And he actually does tell his girl, our friend, that, yo, I saw D out, I was with such and such, my bad, blah, blah. And then she comes to you as a test.
Right.
He done went and told his part to save his hide, because he knows we're going to tell. But then we turn around and say, well, I don't know what you're talking about. And she, well, he said he saw you. Oh shit.
Right.
Now I'm the real asshole.
Yeah, now you're in trouble.
So it's two different scenarios. You know what I'm saying? If he see me see him, I might have to say something.
Yeah, I feel you in that. I think for me, if I saw that out there like that, yeah, if it's somebody that I'm close to, I'd say something. If we're not close, I'm not gonna say, because I try to do my best to stay out of other people's business, but you don't want to get dragged into something either. And like you said, Zell, we see things a whole lot differently, in our 40s now than we did in our 20s. That scenario and how it would have played out in our 20s might be totally, well, I know for me it'd be totally different than it would play out in the 40s. So yeah, I definitely understand that. D, you mentioned something that we can go back to, since we dated the same girl. Well, actually, me and Zell did too, and this was funny because I remember, and it's totally innocent. I remember, and I'm not going to name names. I remember he called me and he said, yo, I want to holler at such and such. And like me and her literally like dated in like middle school, right? So it was and we had one of those middle school, date for 2 weeks and then you break up. So it wasn't nothing. But I thought that was so dope that he came to me and asked me like, yo, can I step? I was like, she's not my girl. Step to her, have fun. So I said all that to say this. Is there, if your boy is dating a girl and they break up, is there a moratorium on how long you wait before you step to her, or is she just off limits, period?
And let me be careful here. First things first, 12 Kyle listeners. These situations we're talking about, they didn't all happen at the same time. So don't think we was going around doing the same thing with the same people.
No.
I just want to make sure I clarify, because it sounds like it could be some crossing of the timelines.
You and I,
we were all separate.
Yeah,
we
were in high school.
But I mean, you understand, we all kind of dated some of the same people. So anyway, I'm the perfect person to ask that question. Well, I kind of probably, I'm going to, no, let me shut up. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if there's a time limit. The only, damn, I can't say that in public. See, this is tricky. This is real tricky. There was only one situation in our crew where I had to go to one of our homeboys and express that, yo, I like this person. I used to date her back in the day. Only one, and that was Wood. But that holds it. So that night in Dwight's driveway in the back of the Malibu. I remember that night. That was a night. Had to discuss some things, and that was the only time I ever stepped to a friend, a real friend, and said, "Listen, this is going down. I wish I could stop it, but this is what it is." So that was the only person I ever did that with, and that was a hard. It was harder than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be some cool out homeboy shit. It wasn't cool out homeboy shit. It was some homeboy shit, but it wasn't cool out. It was a tough discussion we had to have. So I don't recall their time apart. I don't recall. I really don't.
Now, how long were they dating?
I don't know. See what I'm saying? That whole thing, it was, listen, without sounding like, doesn't even know, let's just say it. I'm not even sure you can consider what they were doing as dating.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It might have been a situation that was just a TI situation that was just the connection that happened over time. And after that momentum dropped, it went away, dissipated. And then it was just free game again. So I can't even say they were really like that. That's how I tried to paint it in my mind to make me not seem like the asshole in the situation. But yeah, I just don't recall the time limit that that they stopped and we started. But it wasn't like a 2-week thing or 2 months. It was a couple of months, but yeah.
But you did it though.
Yes. I couldn't stop it. I'm just being real. It was something that was happening. without being too
and this was high school.
incriminating.
Just for those of you listening, this was high school.
It was high school, but it continued on to some things. And
Wow.
yeah, there was, like I said, there was no, I don't know the time limit, and I don't even know if there is a time limit you can put on it, because it all depends on the variables. How deep were they? How serious were they? What time frame was, like you said, high school? Was that really serious? Was anybody serious between 9th and 12th grade? Was anybody really that serious about stuff like that? So it's kind of hard to put an emotional cap on that. So I think nowadays it would probably be 1,000% off limits. I'm a different person now. Mm-hmm. So nowadays it's 1,000%. If you've been there, boom, that's good. She's fine, but I can't do that.
Right.
But back then, how big was the pool back then too? You got to remember, the pool wasn't really that large. And just keep it real. The pool wasn't that large. So you found something of quality, you kind of try to find that in it. And it just so happened that your friend hung out with her for a little while before you did.
Okay. Zell?
Clear my throat.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, man, look, I probably didn't do like a 360 on this whole thing. I think at one point in time, I probably would be off limits. Like, I think Derrick is right about, like, there are some circumstances surrounding the relationship. In order for me to say I'm hands off, I would definitely have to be, like, understood that there was something significant there in terms of a relationship. Then I'd be hands off. But, I don't know. But now that I'm, like, single and I'm damn near 50, there's so many different, like, I done had some of the wildest kind of scenarios with weird stuff, not necessarily with people I know, but just the mixiness of it all. Like, people are less inclined, like, maybe this is another podcast, dating in your late 40s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
the 50s is
that's definitely a podcast.
That's a whole totally different world. Like, it ain't even normal. You know what I'm saying? It ain't based in a whole lot of depth other than people having a need for companionship. Is really all it's based on, and it's not as. I guess I'm being a little bit of a Debbie Downer here, but it's not as deep to me. So now we're talking like young adults where we found the love of our lives, and there was a significant relationship, there was some kids involved, a marriage, and all this kind of stuff. I'm probably not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Right. If it's somebody who I knew. But then who, I got to qualify who I knew. Like, if I went to school with you, my nigga, like, that ain't really, you know what I mean? Like, if I dapped you at the calf and that was it, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if you might not get that pass, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, friends, I would definitely say friends off limits if there were, any depth there, any real connection, significant time dating, people were really into each other, I probably wouldn't touch that one. But if it was like a one-off or, you know what I'm saying? Like, this was I came home one summer and, I caught you slipping at the rendezvous.
The rendezvous.
I don't know nothing about that rendezvous. But then that's a totally different dynamic. I don't know if I'll put enough on it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Kyle, if you go back to Florence right now and like the dating pool, and no disrespect to all my Florence people, I love y'all to death, but if you go back in the dating pool in Florence and like just mix around a little bit, you will learn that there is a lot of bumping of heads that's going on.
Oh yeah,
with cats that you are probably very cool and familiar with.
A lot of Eskimo brothers. For
sure, because like you said, the dating pool is limited, and what was off limits in '96 may not be off limits in 2021.
Facts. Big facts.
So that's all I got on that.
Yeah, that's you said a mouthful. I think I'm with y'all. I've never like been interested in somebody that, you know, dated my boys. You know, like if you dated my boys, like you just off limits to me. Like for me there's not even a time frame. Like it's just once you in that realm, you just out. And again, like I said, me and Derrick had some, but I mean I didn't, because I want to say Derrick dated her first, and then I dated her when we were seniors, but I didn't know Derrick like that. We knew each other. We was getting cool, but it wasn't like we weren't as close as we are now. So, you know, and I saw them kind of like from afar, and this was, you know, again, high school relationship. So I mean, it is what it is with kids. But especially as young adults, and then, you know, getting grown. Nah, if you were ever interested in my boy, I wasn't ever talking to you. It's just I could never. It was always just a stream that I couldn't cross. Like it was just like it didn't make a lot of sense to me. But yeah, I feel you. I think you make you make a good point, man. And that goes back to clarifying, you know, what is friendships or whatever like that, because, you know, if you were an associate, you know, that's a different story. But for somebody I thought was a friend or somebody crew, nah, I'm not. That's your lady. And in my mind, she'll always be your lady, or at least somebody in your past. So I don't want nothing to do with that. So yeah, that's I like both of those answers there. My next question, friends and money. We started the idea of this particular podcast amongst the other 100 ideas we have for podcasts, based on something we saw happen, kind of play out right before our eyes. As many of you know, if you follow podcast, the very popular Joe Budden podcast was a popular podcast probably for the better part of the last 5 or 6 years. And it was Joe Budden and his two friends, Rory and Maul. And I won't go into all of the details of what happened with the podcast, but the podcast, Maul and Rory ended up leaving the podcast and splitting. You know, it was due to lack of transparency and money issues or whatever like that. And this is a podcast that, you know, was rumored to have inked, you know, multi-million-dollar deal with Spotify. And it looked from the outside looking in that, you know, three friends who appeared to be very close didn't really look like they were friends, or at least knew each other the way that we thought that they did. Or did money come into play and really divide them? So we had a very spirited conversation that lasted in our group chat for a couple of days about, you know, just the fallout from the podcast, and because we all listen to the podcast. I don't listen anymore because I listen to Rory and Maul's podcast because they ventured off and did their own thing. I felt just personally, it looked to me like Joe betrayed him. So I'm not one to get into betrayals and stuff like that. So, and not so much as I stopped listening because the other two guys that Joe picked up for his podcast, I couldn't listen to them. They just weren't appealing to me. But I still, you know, think that they had a great podcast. Nonetheless, I said all that to say this. It's always tricky when you mix friendships and business. Zell, where do you stand on friendships and business? I mean, is that something that you would do, or is it something that you might not do, or does it depend on the friend? Just give me your overall thoughts, and if you want to touch on the JBP, you can do that as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm actually currently involved, been a part of a business with a college friend of mine for 20 plus years. Mm-hmm. It has its ups and downs. It has its challenges. You operate in one capacity outside of the office, and in the office you got to operate in another capacity. And so I've been Rory and Maul, so I understand their position. I am the Rory and Maul to my homeboy who runs a company who I am. I'm a senior level, member of the firm and et cetera. But we went through a lot of ups and downs and all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, I think as with anybody, if you don't have communication or you don't communicate, it really don't matter if friends or not. It ain't gonna be worth 2 cents. So I'll say that. I think I'm not gonna say it's a myth. I think you do have to have skills to be able to navigate the two worlds, the friend world and the business world. Like they're two different worlds. In the friend world, it's jokes and good times. And, if I'm going through something, whatever, we be there for each other. Ain't no judgment. We rocking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in business, there's judgment, my nigga. Like, what I'm saying? We gotta have performance. We gotta measure shit. We gotta be able to look at profit. We gotta be able to talk about, if there's efficiency in the model and what we're doing. So there's a whole lot of issues, and you gotta talk real to it. Like, yo, dog, you ain't pulling your part. Like, I need you to bring in a couple more jobs. You gotta be able to have that conversation with a friend and a coworker. Like, it gotta be that. So I'm not saying it can't be happening, but you definitely gotta have people who, if you're going to be friends, it's imperative that your communication skills are above average. Just looking at the Joe Budden example, clearly the communication was not there. And there were a lot of assumptions being made and people thinking they were in one capacity and, your name ain't on nothing, but you think you own something. Like, it's a lot of weird things, you know what I'm saying? like you can't have that kind of, understanding, like, to misinterpret your role, and the only way you can be clear about role definition is to have conversations. And it can't just fall under friendship, it just can't. You got to be like, say, hey, yo, dog, you do this. Yo, dog, this your job. Yo, dog, this your job. You got to be able to have that conversation in order to make it work. And if you don't have communication, man, I'm just being honest, friend or foe or just genuine coworkers, it ain't gonna work, period.
Right.
So I don't think the friendship is what's making it difficult. I think it's the lack of communication skills is what really makes a relationship, whether it's business partners, life partners, marriages, friendships, anything, it can go left. So, I get it. I understand when people don't feel valued, they got to make decisions. So that's what it sounds like. In the Joe Budden example, it sounds like they didn't feel like they were equal to him, and I guess that's what their impression was, over the course of the time. So to me, if that's what you thought, then you obviously didn't communicate. Like, there was a lack of communication somewhere, because somebody was paying for microphones, somebody was setting up stuff, somebody was paying Savon, somebody was paying Alex, Parks, like if you don't know what them cats made, but yeah, you a partner, something ain't right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's my position on it.
No doubt. What about you, D?
I know this is a first. I need you to ask the question again, because when Zell just said he was in business with somebody, it threw me off. I thought I was listening in depth, like, you in business with somebody? I didn't know that, so yeah. I was really paying attention to what he was saying. Like, that's fire, dude. That's nice, man. Yeah. I didn't know. Congratulations, my brother.
The question is, like, what is your stance on one, like doing business with friends, and if you think that's like a positive or negative, something that you would do. And, and I also said if you wanted to touch in on the Joe Budden podcast situation, you could as well.
Okay. Now, I think he covered everything for the JVP. Like, that's what got us going with this. Like, there was some money that was being spent that nobody wanted to talk about from Joe's perspective, and Joe could be an ass. I'm gonna leave it at that, because I don't know him personally, but that's that.
Right.
As far as me doing business with friends, I don't have a problem with it. I think the closest I've ever done that is when we were doing the Men of Honor joints. We threw some money into that to try to bring some parties to Florence. But everybody. If you communicate well, that's the key to everything. You got to be able to say, hey, you fucking up, and the person who's fucking up got to be able to take that and change, adapt to what they're doing that's not up to par and make amends. And I don't have no trust issues with y'all, so I could definitely do some things with y'all. But as far as like saying business period, that's never really been my forte. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm not that guy that thinks about going into business period. I just try to, get some quick ends, feed people, and go to sleep. That's always been my thing. As far as like thinking that deeply into stuff, That's never really been my thing. But if I could, I would with y'all, because I know that there would be we one thing we do amongst ourselves that people don't know about us. They probably do know it by now, but we're very supportive of each other during our darkest times. There are things that we go through. All of us go through something here and there, and we may not always talk to each other as a collective, but at some point, one of us is going to check on the other person. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? What's going on? Blah, blah. I ain't heard you in a minute. You've been quiet. What's going on? Everything's good. So in that aspect, knowing that y'all always got my back and I always got y'all back like that, I could definitely go into a business venture with y'all, but it's got to be y'all, because I know y'all like that. And y'all check me, and I can take y'all checking me. I can't take everybody checking me. I'm going to have a mad attitude with certain people checking me. And I could be dead ass wrong, but I'm going to have a problem with certain people checking me even though I'm dead ass wrong.
Right.
But if we go into a business venture and this y'all, I can see us being honest with each other and making things right. I don't think it'll be tricky with us. But then again, we got such a long history.
Right.
That to me makes it different. Everybody who claim they friends on the internet ain't really friends.
Man, say that.
And everybody who claim they friends on social media ain't really friends.
Say that again.
You know what I mean? We've had many of conversations amongst ourselves when we see certain people big up certain people and like they don't like them. And we know they don't like them.
Right.
But because they want to get that shine on Facebook or whatever, they'll be the first ones. Congratulations, sis. That way to go, my nigga. Like, y'all ain't really cool like that. So I couldn't deal with those people. But when it comes to y'all, I could deal with y'all because y'all always honest with me and y'all always got my back and support me. That's different.
Right. No, I agree 1,000%, man. And it's something you said a while ago that always stuck. You said they're not friends; they just know each other.
Yeah.
Or they just hang, I'm sorry. You said they're not friends; they just hang out together, and that stuck because you could tell just by looking at the social media stuff that that's what it was with them. And I agree with both of you. I think I definitely could go into business with you guys. I don't think you can go into business with all of your friends though. Like Jason. Like I couldn't go into business with Jason. Jay Fresh, my boy Jay Fresh. I talk about him all the time on the podcast. Love him to death. I've known him literally since I was 6 years old. He's been my longest friend that I've had. But no, I'm not I'm not going into business with him. And it's no knock on him, but his business acumen and how he does things ain't the way I would do things. So I don't know that we would necessarily mesh as far as business is concerned. And I think when you go into business with friends, my biggest concern not necessarily would be how much money we'd make, but am I going to lose my friend over this business? Because at this point in my life, I think friends are rare. So you hold on to that type of stuff because you can look around and you don't see a lot of friendships. So especially, I think we're a different breed because we're lifelong friends. We ain't friends that just, we met at a club and just started hanging out together, whatever like that. Or we met some chick and we know the chick or whatever the case may be. Or we had a couple of drinks, we just started kicking it. No, we go back a long way and we got a lot of history. So my concern would be not so much as the success or the failure of the business, but will the business be the detriment of the friendship? Because like Zell said, right. You gotta, when you're friends and you're in business together, you gotta handle it. You gotta wear two hats. You got the business hat that you gotta wear, and then the friendship hat, and those lines can't get crossed. And then sometimes, you could do something as a friend that might not be cool, and then the business wise, we got to handle business, so I got to leave my personal feelings aside for us to handle business, or vice versa. You do something in business that pisses me off, and it's like I got to leave that, but when we walk outside of the office, now we got to be friends. You ain't gonna want to be talking business, but we got to kind of straddle the fence, if you will. So it's a very interesting dynamic to be in. Like I said, I could definitely see myself doing, and we've talked about, business opportunities and ventures and stuff like that. So that could be something I think I could do with you guys. But, and I've got a couple other friends that I would do that with, but not a lot, to be honest. Because business, you're investing money and time and effort. And I don't want to invest my time and money and effort into something that is going to depend on whether or not somebody else has got the same hustle as me, and if I'm doing the work, what are we doing? So, but no, I agree with both of you. As far as the JBP, it was, it was, I think probably, and something I said, we talked about in the group chat, probably more disappointing than anything else, because it looked from the outside looking in. Again, I don't know Joe, I don't know Roy, I don't know Maul, but it looked like these guys were friends. But it just, over a period of time now, it looks like they probably weren't as close of friends as they thought they were. Maybe they were just guys that just like to hang out together. And you have to be able to, as you get older, be able to distinguish the two, between guys that you hang out with and guys that you are just cool with, or whatever the case may be. Last question.
Hey, Kyle,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Let me add one thing to the JBP. So, like, if you're a rapper, right, and you don't put out a bunch of albums, everybody you meet after you don't put out new music, would you think they were friends, like, for real?
Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. I mean, like, and that's, even like when you look at somebody, I'll use like LeBron, for example. I think the thing that people miss about, I mean, you can say what you want about LeBron. Some people don't like him. Some people don't. Some people love him. One of the things that's I've always been impressed about LeBron is that LeBron is still running with the same dudes that he ran with in high school. And these guys are now multi-millionaires, and it's because he did have that level of trust in him, but he also, it looks to me like he just ran with some good dudes. Like I can look at them and I see like how we were. And I feel like if any of us had been LeBron, it would have been the same way. And so, and we've all been, successful in our careers and the whole nine, but I think that's the thing that gets lost in that, because he was given so much very quickly. I mean, he had a $90 million contract before he dribbled a basketball in the NBA. And most people thought, oh, yeah, he's going to blow it. And he's got these friends, and they don't have any business. I mean, his agent, Rich Paul, is one of the best agents in basketball, and I think he's dabbling into other sports now as well. And it's not just because he's friends with LeBron. I mean, like, the guy knows what he's doing, but he studied and he did everything that he needed to do. And he wasn't, getting into trouble. He protected whatever brand that they established. But I think more than anything else, I think their friendship made sure that they stayed tight and tough and closed to where nobody could break whatever it was that they had already established. And, I think that gets lost, man. So, I mean, like, even going back to the thing, LeBron surrounded himself with the people that, was with him literally from day one. And to your point, Zell, somebody like Joe Budden, who, you're going to have friends. And I'm sure that these guys had experiences. I'm sure that they had, crushing moments. I'm sure that they had dark times like D talked about. They had all the stuff that we have too, but and I'm sure it's difficult when all that stuff plays out in front of the media, because we just literally saw these guys break up over the internet, and they're doing videos about each other, talking about it. I mean, like, it was messy, and and people on social media like to tune in to see a train wreck. But I think it's you lose something in that, and I think whatever they had, I don't think it was worth it, but again, I'm on the outside looking in. So, did y'all have anything else y'all want to add to that?
I just wanted to ask y'all. Where is it?
I'm disappointed that you watching Rory and Maul, but other than that,
I like Rory and Maul. They got a good.
I've never watched that.
Sorry, Kyle. There's no way I can listen to Rory for a whole hour. There's no way I can listen to that kid for a whole hour. No way.
I couldn't. Those
Mike even sound like he cool no more. I listened to it one time, and I'm so used to hearing the bombs and the shotguns and the music. That joint is so monotone and so like lifeless. I don't even know if like Maul's a real thug anymore. Like I thought.
Yeah, I like it. I couldn't go back to the JBP, and those other two dudes they literally put me to sleep. I was like, nah.
But let me tell you something. Let me tell you what's funny. They are actually more friends to Joe Budden than Rory and Maul.
They probably are. And
those guys were around before the musics.
Okay.
See, Roy didn't come along till after the albums, dog. That's why I don't really. That's what I think the issue is for me. Is I don't understand how Maul could really ride with Rory. That's the problem I'm having, because Rory is an industry dude. Like, you know, he's not really like he went to Dale State, dog. Like he was.
Shout out to Dale State.
He's a Dale State Kappa, bro. Like, didn't quit. Like,
shout out to HBCUs, baby.
Yeah, sir. So I couldn't rock with Rory. I couldn't rock with Rory like that. Dog. A little different. I can't really rock with you siding up with the blue-eyed devil, dog. There's just something about that bothered me.
Look at you.
Yeah. It always comes back to that.
I knew it was coming. That's why I got quiet. I said only a matter of time before he said it. So it's just only a matter of time.
Okay, so last question before we get out of here. You have we all obviously, like I said, we grew up in Florence, South Carolina. We went to high school together, middle school together, high school together, and then we went our separate ways, you know, going to college and going into the military. So when you venture off into that stage of your life, when you're going to, because I know how I felt once I was leaving high school and going to college, and how I felt about my friends that I was leaving behind, even though we were going in different directions, you know, I can't say leaving behind, but my friends that I was leaving, basically. So my question is, and I'll start from you, Deke, because you went into the military. Zell and I went off to college. Zell went to Hampton. I went to South Carolina State. You go into the military, and then you become friends with people in the military. Right. And you, through experiences, become close to some people in the military. And right. Same for us in college. How do you balance the friendships, you know, those two types of friendships? Because you were used to having friends that were, you know, I guess that you grew up with, and then having a new set of basically new friends. How did you adjust to having new friends and in a new environment, and not necessarily neglecting your friends that you grew up with?
Okay, this is something I've never said out loud. I know it existed, but I've never said it to y'all. I never said to anybody else. But when I went off, you know, I was dead set on just getting Florence out of my system. That was my initial move. I got to get Florence out of my system. Fuck the world. And then when I got to Hawaii, my regular station, I started calming back down. You know what I'm saying? I started getting back to my foundation, my base, and saying, okay, what got me through these days, these moments? And it was my crew. So what I did in Hawaii, and y'all never even asked me about it, I had a picture of my boys. I had a crew in Hawaii that reflected y'all. I made a crew. I met 5 cats in Hawaii that I made my crew that reflected y'all. And that's how I got through those 3 years in Hawaii. Me and those guys stuck together, and I found similarities in some of those cats to all of y'all. That's what I did in Hawaii. And y'all never questioned it. I had a picture of them in my apartment, old apartment, my boys from Hawaii. That was my crew that I made to emulate what I had with y'all in Florence. That got me through my 3.5 years in Hawaii. And I never said it out loud. Because I didn't, at the time I did it, I didn't realize it until I got to Fayetteville that's what I did. When I was in Hawaii, though, I built a crew that reflected y'all. Not necessarily to the point, to the T, you know what I'm saying? But there were certain similarities in that crew I had in Hawaii that was just like y'all.
Okay.
That's how I did that. And then like the ones that I stayed cool with, I wanted to make sure that I bridged the gap between y'all and them. The only one that made it through that was Jake. That's the one y'all met in Fayetteville that lived with me in my apartment in Fayetteville. Mm-hmm. And I tried to make sure I bridged that gap to make y'all see this is my dude right here. But these are my brothers. I want him to see what I had with y'all, and I wanted y'all to see what I had with him. That's how I did that. So, I mean, I never really left y'all behind, in my opinion. I just recast y'all.
Okay.
And that got me through all those years in Hawaii. The only time I saw y'all was in December.
Yeah.
Remember? I was in Hawaii for 11 straight months. I had them to cover for the time like that. And then, of course, once I got like real money, I got phone cards, and I could call y'all, and stuff like that. But that damn father to the phone card days. But yeah, that's how
Yeah,
I
ladies
did
and
that.
gentlemen, this was the '90s, so there was no internet.
This is '93. Let's be real. This was '93. Let's go ahead and let them know it's the early '90s.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I did that, man. It was hard at first when I first left because it was a brand new world, and I was so angry and enraged. And like I said, once I got to Hawaii, my regular unit, I just calmed down. Once you get lose that adrenaline, I said, "Oh my God, what have I done? How do I get through this?" I built me a crew.
Mm.
And I could only deal with certain cats that was in my age demographic and had a certain mentality about them. They couldn't be no corny asses. They had to be some real G's. So that's how I did that.
Okay, that's what's up. What about you, Zell?
Um, okay, now I'm trying to follow the question. The question was about the crews that you developed when you went to
Yeah,
college. And
because like you went to school, you got friends, and then just you know you go from having a set of friends at home, and you go off to school, and how did you reconcile, you know, just even within yourself, just having new friends, where basically the friends that you had always been just enough, and now you're not with them and you're not seeing them every day, and again we didn't have the technology, so all we could do is write letters. So how did you balance that and reconcile that?
well, I mean, I guess it was a um maybe a little easier because we all had like um the people that I met in college. We all kind of had like similar interests, right? The cats are trying to graduate. So, you kind of like grind out and, I was working in the architecture department. So I had like two sets of friends and even in college, actually,
Mm-hmm.
it was just, I had, my friends from my major, which was the architect guys. I had them. That's who I spent the most of my time with. But then I also had my friends who I met my freshman year. When you're taking classes that is not your major classes, you're kind of taking your general studies classes.
Right.
You meet a lot of people just in the mix in the dorm room. You know how it is, dorm life. It's one spade game after the next. It's pajama jams. It's union parties. It's just you just start to build on experiences, and then relationships form as a result of it. So I had another crew of friends that were not architects who I met, which is the guys who were all kind of like in my wedding, Chip and Troy and Amos and Rook and Curls and all them cats. So them are the cats that I actually hung with outside of my major. And then like Slaps, and I don't think that's probably the only architect guy that y'all met with Slaps.
Slaps.
Everybody else was, they came to the wedding, but they were not in the wedding. But I had a handful of architect cats that I was cool with. So similar to Derrick, you just kind of, utilize the experiences you got around you, and you just build relationships to kind of get you through that chapter of your life. And the real good relationships, they kind of go with you. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, I'm not cool with everybody I met at Hampton now. Like I see them and I dap them up on doing homecoming, but I'm not like cool like that. But there's a handful of guys who, the relationships were added, actually been nurtured even postgraduate, and I've known them for 20 plus years. Just like I've known y'all. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's just a lot of time invested checking in, making sure the family's cool. And, I used to have this philosophy, and I shared it with like, with my daughter, and I share it, when people go through like broken relationships and you try to make sense out of it, and you try to look at people and say, well, if I wouldn't do something like that, I don't know how that person could do that. Like, when you hear that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to say, every friend don't serve every purpose.
Oh, facts.
And once you start to take your pressure off your friendships and start making your friendships more than what they are. Like they only can be what they are. And they can't be more than that. They can't operate through a lens of your expectations. They only can operate through the lens of who they are, period. And once you start to accept people for who they are, then your friendships will be much easier, because you won't be disappointed by the things they do. So I've had a disappointment in friendships before, but I had to kind of retrain my brain to remember that. Like, there's some guys I'm going to call when it's time to go, You know what I'm saying? Sit at the bar and have a few. There's certain guys I'm going to call, well, I'm going to the game this weekend. Won't you come? You know what I mean? Let's go check out a football game. There's some people I'm going to call when, hey, yo, dog, like, my girl cheated on me. I need, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's and no pun, no disrespect for the listeners. But
oh, it's a disclaimer, but go ahead.
And man, I had to give people some quality content. You know what I'm saying?
I thought we'd be able to get through this podcast.
Hey man. So every friend on every purpose. And I've been lucky to have an evolution of friendships that all of them have lasted. I mean, if y'all remember my wedding, I had 14 groomsmen or something crazy.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Something, and that was like my crew, my home crew, and my college crew, and trying to make it all work. But yeah, I kind of did a little bit of what Derrick did, and then a little twist to it. I kind of added my little thing to it, and some of them stood the test of time, and some didn't. But you just keep pushing.
No doubt. That's a great answer. I think, just to piggyback on what you guys said, I was kind of the same way, leaving our hometown and then going to school. I was my main concern, one of my biggest concern was, losing touch with my friends, because obviously, we had been together for so long, and then all of a sudden you're off to this new place, and people are, oh yeah, you're gonna meet new friends. But I was really, on some, I don't want no new friends. I really was like that for a period of time, because I didn't need, or nor did I felt like I had capacity to have any more friends, because I didn't care to have any more friends, by the time I got to college. But it's funny how you have that mindset, and then when you get there, you just naturally just kind of gravitate toward people. And then, me playing ball in college, playing football, you had teammates, I had teammates that I got close to, and they really reminded me of, like D said, the cats that I grew up with. So it wasn't a juggling thing for me. It was actually welcoming. It was a whole lot easier than I probably thought it would be, because I really went to school with the mindset of I don't need any friends. Like, I got the friends that I have, and as long as I don't lose those friends, I'm cool. And that's that's me thinking as an 18-year-old kid. So it wasn't hard to balance anything or whatever like that. And like you said, over the time, I made sure that anytime I got a chance to introduce you guys to my friends from school, it was that. But a lot of times we would be together, and I would introduce y'all to people that I went to school with, as opposed to people that I was friends with, and y'all thought I was like some type of celebrity, because we can't walk 10 steps without somebody stopping saying hi. But that just happens. I mean, people, a few people know me. I'll just put it like that. But those conversations were always funny. But
Mo still think he dropped 20 against Wilson.
Hey, man, Mo still talks about that to this day. Shout out to Mo. He still thinks he was the MVP. But we and so it was good making those kind of friendships, man, because it was when the thing that opened my eyes is that you can, that you will evolve and have other friends, and it doesn't necessarily, remove the friends that you had before. Like, there's room for everybody. And then you also realize that, just because we played ball together, that don't mean that we're going to be friends, because you got 100 people on a team. There's no possible way that you could be friends with everybody. I'm cool with everybody, but no, everybody wasn't your friend. They're just teammates. And some dudes, I quickly realized that, some dudes will always just be teammates, and I'm cool with that. And so, to be honest, for some, I'll always just be their teammate. We won't be friends, but I don't know what their kids' names are. Or we ain't going, playing. We're not going to the bar getting a drink or something like that. But there's a certain bond that you have, obviously, through going through experiences. So D had his experience in the military. We had our experience in college. And even playing football, that's a whole nother, different experience as well. So, But yeah, I wanted to get you guys on here. Like I said, we kicked around the idea after the conversation about the Joe Budden podcast and the fallout, and obviously I just had more questions. That really, I mean, really, we probably could have made this this podcast about 15 more questions, but maybe I'll say that for another podcast. Before we get out of here, Zell, you want to tell the folks where they can find you or not find you?
I guess I'm on Instagram, Easy Desert VA, and I think I'm on Twitter with the same thing. Ain't it the same thing?
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing on Twitter. My government is my Facebook. I don't really do Facebook, every now and again. But yeah, I be in and off the web. And you ain't your real friend unless you had a Ruby sausage sandwich with the burnt edges. That's another thing. With mustard.
Bingo.
Sausage sandwich on.
Bingo.
It's always good when you go to your friend's house and eat. Because we did all the time.
You ain't even a friend, B.
You definitely ain't no friend. You ain't come to my house to eat or at least play basketball. What about you, D? Where can people find you?
D Love Hall, Instagram. I'm back on Twitter a little bit. Facebook, my government. I'll leave it at that. I'm told myself. Yeah, that's where I'm at, B. I'm doing that. And before you ask, I know you're gonna do it.
I'm not
let me
gonna
go ahead and get
anything.
out of the way.
I'm not
you
gonna
go ahead. Okay, well I ain't gonna say it then. Boom, I ain't gonna say it then. I'll leave it at that. Because I do got some information.
When's the album drop?
It ain't no album, man. Aro got me working on some stuff, man. I'm working on some stuff with Aro, so that's that. I'm gonna leave it at that.
So you still denying that you're a rapper?
Who's a rapper? I am not a rapper.
I mean,
I'm not
MC
a rapper.
Step to him.
You rap. You an MC.
I'm not a. Oh, listen, man. Spoken word. I'm gonna have this disrespect too much longer.
Oh man,
that's what I'm not gonna do.
Do the words rhyme?
The words do rhyme, so yeah, that would make him MC.
Dr. Seuss words rhyme, man. What does that mean?
He's a rapper.
He's a rapper. He's the
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a rapper. I do spoken word. I'm not a rapper. Please don't listen to these two.
He got bars.
Broken. I was about to say broken words. Spoken words with a track.
Yeah.
All I'm saying.
But let me wrap up this podcast. You guys know where to find me, 12 Kyle across the board. Make sure that first of all, thank you for listening to this podcast. Be sure to download, subscribe, tell a friend about the podcast. This podcast drops every Thursday night at midnight. This time, from time to time this year, I'm getting tongue-tied here. From time to time this year, we will drop bonus episodes on Sundays at midnight. So make sure that you check that out. That's going to do it for us. So for Derrick, for my boy Zell, I'm your boy 12 Kyle. We'll catch you guys next time. 5,000. Chill.